So, welcome to another episode of the Strategiewerkstatt podcast, our hitchhiker's guide through strategy. Today with me is Sorana, and she has a great topic, not how to say to my mother, but how to say to my manager. But before we jump into that topic, Sorana, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, Markus, and thanks a lot for having me. I am really excited about the topic that we're going to address today. I am a cloud sales director at Oracle, responsible for the clients in the Swiss German part for our Oracle cloud offerings. Yes.
Cool.
And
Brief
we will
and
address
to the point.
maybe how to say it to your mom as well. If we have listeners or viewers that might be interested in that. Yes.
Maybe we can do this transfer as well. Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
yes. It's a pleasure to discuss with you this critical aspect of effective strategy execution with the flavor of the art and discipline of providing feedback to senior leadership.
Yeah. I think that's what is often seen in organizations, right? So their strategy is done somewhere in the clouds, in the top management, good or bad. I've seen both, right? Like really awesome strategies coming down, but I've also seen strategies. I thought, okay, maybe take another round in that one. And needless to say, there's also this feedback needed, like as you said, getting back to management to say, hey, this sounds nice, but it's not working probably, or we don't believe that this is going. So how could be an effective strategy to build that up and to build that muscle in an organization to really give good feedback to our top management?
I really liked what you said, to build the muscle, because it is a road to getting good at it, at this art. And in my experience, the ability to communicate candid and insightful feedback upward is a cornerstone of organizational agility and sustained competitive advantage. And many employees and even middle management, they find this challenging. It's natural to hesitate. Giving feedback upwards could feel risky or uncomfortable. At the same time, I think it's one of the most powerful ways to influence positive change, have a true impact on the organization, and ensure that the company's strategic goals are met. And for me, in every sense of my life, and now we go back to how to tell it to your mother, as a starting point, I always ask myself when I communicate anything, be it feedback, being suggestions, what is the purpose of my feedback? Am I highlighting risks that could derail the strategy? Am I offering insights to improve execution? Or am I seeking clarity to better align my team's efforts? And I always start from the premise that both perspectives are valid. The strategy that is given by the C-level and the people responsible in the end to make it happen. Everyone wants the strategy to be successful. Everybody wants to work in a company that is successful, that is recognized, that is appreciated. And everyone wants to bring about positive change. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm not going to do the best I'm not going to be the best I can. And that's valid in both the personal and the professional setting. And I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do. I'm sure the listeners or our viewers have seen the Undercover Boss series. And while it's entertaining to watch, I always watch it and ask myself, have I seen this in my life at one point or another? Where the C-level, they go down to the shops, to the garages and see what they cooked up, let's say, as goals and strategies. How are they impacting their consumers, their clients? And something else that I always strongly believe in, it's not an us versus them at whatever level of the organization. And what I always do when I provide feedback are three things. One is I align the feedback with the strategic imperatives. I am proactive and I seek clarity. And the third one is I pair feedback with solutions. I'm concise, data-driven, and solution-focused. So these are the main three things. And I'm a firm believer that we sincerely want to make a change. The first thing we must do is raise our standards. So when we think about giving feedback to our managers, to our C-level, raising my standards means I'm committed to clear, honest, and constructive communication, not just for my benefit, but also for the benefit of the whole organization. And how I do it in practice are the three things that I meant. So the first one was, how do we align feedback with the strategic imperatives? So always connect what you want to say to that. So instead of focusing on what's wrong or what doesn't work, on personal frustrations or on tools that maybe don't function always the way we want, the network in the office, I don't know what happens to it, and we don't have, it's amazing a lot of times how people get into a loop of personal frustration and how they can't deliver something and they look for what's wrong. What's wrong is always available, so it's what's right and what's good. And so instead of that, let's frame the observations in terms of how they impact the desired outcome. So first, we all need to understand the broader context of strategy and the priorities that the senior leadership has. Because executives, from my experience, they operate at a high level with the focus on long-term goals, market positioning, shareholder value. So our feedback should therefore be framed in terms of how execution aligns with these objectives. And executives need feedback that's clear and actionable. So one should always avoid making vague or emotional statements and instead focus on specific observations backed by data or example. One example could be, I've noticed delays in, let's say, cross-team updates. And these are making it harder for us knowing what the plan going forward, what the next steps are. And I believe if we improve the flow of information, we can accelerate progress and reduce the iterations for the work that we need to do.
So Hannah, you said a lot of things. So we had a pre-discussion and it was already funny in the pre-discussion. So that's why I laugh, So you said, if I paraphrase, communication needs to be deliberate and prepared when you go to higher management. It needs to be addressed to their specific needs. I have a question to that in a sec, because it kind of feels unfair. Why do I need to adapt my way of speech in order to talk to an exec if they, and now I'm doing this like finger pointing game, are not even on Gemba, or they don't even visit us. They don't even know what work I do, right? So why do I need to change if it's them that don't listen? So what would you answer to that?
So I hear that a lot. It first starts with it's not an us versus them. And as a very dear friend of mine kept on telling me till I actually got it, is whoever has the need needs to do the work. And when we communicate something, it's on us to adjust our communication so that our message gets across. It's not the other person's responsibility to understand from the beginning what we want to say. It's on us to explain it better, to explain it differently so that the message lands. It's something that, people in sales do that a lot, or if they want to be good, they need to learn to do that. Because you say A, the client could understand B. So it's up to the sales. He has the need. He needs or she needs to constantly adjust the communication so that their message lands.
No, I'm the devil's advocate now.
Yes, go ahead.
In your whole career, have you ever turned that statement around and said, dear top management, if you have the need for us to understand what you're saying, please adapt your speech to a way that we actually understand it?
Yeah.
Did that happen to you? Yeah.
I think anybody that has to do with senior leadership and wants to have a positive impact and positive to bring about positive change is put in that position. And it's exactly that. How do I make them understand without venting my frustrations so that it's on the level that they get it? They don't care that, Sorana is frustrated or needs to work more hours. What they would get, though, is that if the processes are more efficient, people become more productive, which in turn will make the clients happier, will make sure that the employees are more available to the clients. It impacts the client experience. So yes, you could boil it down to that. It's just on the flavor, on the tweak, on how you say it.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is it so intimidating for some to really go to the senior management and give them candid feedback? You said candid, insightful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, yes, it's an art. You need to build this muscle up, as
Yeah.
we said in the
Yes.
beginning. But still, for people I work with, that's sometimes very intimidating when I say, hey, then go to the CEO,
Yeah.
just give that
Yeah.
feedback, right?
Yeah.
Why is it so?
As you said, some people, it could be various reasons. Some people cannot get out of the loop of these personal frustrations and they're caught in this vicious circle and they can't step out and be in the observer role. And how would you approach this? If you would watch yourself from afar, how would you assess your behavior? So they're caught in this loop. Another reason would be that maybe early in their career, they had the best intentions and they really wanted to bring about change and have impact. It's just the delivery of the message didn't land well and they suffered one way or another.
Mhm.
So now, based on that, let's say trauma or experience,
Yeah, they're
they are
hesitant to like put the
they're
heads out again.
fearful. They go into a loop of what if I say this and they say that, instead of focusing on if somebody would say that to me, would I like it? Oh, the communication is bad and the tools are faulty and they don't work. How would you feel when people feel like they're being accused? They go in the defensive
Defense, yeah.
and they shut down. So nothing that you say as a feedback is going to land. And what will also, the art of feedback is for one negative thing that you say, you have to say 5 positive things. Otherwise, people are going to stick with the one negative.
With the one negative, yeah.
That would be another reason. Another reason would be that, and I said this muscle that we need to work, I wouldn't advise to train it with senior leadership. I would train it with peers. I would train it within the team. And once you feel comfortable in that, your attitude also changes. And you feel what I have seen with some of my peers in the past is that they get overwhelmed by the feedback from the team. They do want to show that they are a good manager and they take them seriously. They don't do this workflow of steps that I mentioned with aligning the feedback to the outcomes or to the strategic goals. So they just take this pile of feedback, they don't process it, and they just take it further to create the impression, yeah, I listened to you, I'm a good manager, you as an employee came to me with a problem, I just passed it on. Well, of course it's going to come back quite fast down on you.
Let's expand this from the individual level, like from me talking to the senior or the senior also giving feedback to me or explaining something back to me. Let's think this a little bit bigger into an organization, right? So we said in the beginning, it's an art, but it's also like building a muscle. And if I want to build muscle,
it's a discipline.
I need to go to the gym, right? So what tools do I need in a gym, right? What structures, what do I need in an organization to be able to build that muscle? So it maybe even goes one step before that. It's not the building of the muscle itself, but what needs to be in place so that people can actually start building that muscle and start to try giving feedback without, risk of losing their jobs or risk of whatever might be out there.
Good question. The first, it all starts with us. Anything we do. Yes, we have shareholders, stakeholders, we have coaches, advisors, therapists.
Oh gosh.
We get our help from wherever we can. It has to start with us. So this whole muscle building starts with us. We should always give ourselves feedback to ourselves on a daily basis. Could I have done better? But this also requires that we take a long, hard look in the mirror and we're honest with ourselves. Yeah. And once we feel comfortable in saying, today I made a mistake. What did I learn from this? Could I have done better? Or was this the best I could do? So once we create this feedback loop within ourselves, we are already more comfortable in going outward. And we can start with our peers, with our sparring partners. Then we can enlarge it to our team. Because as soon as you have, a power dynamic, various other aspects or factors come into play that you also need to know how to handle. But the peer sparring partners, you don't have, you're not in competition, you don't have anything to fight over. So ourselves, peers, team, and then people will feel confident because they have already gone through the process to go upward. When you don't feel comfortable doing something, it's whatever it is. If it's with upper management, it's with your mom, it's very difficult to, and you don't feel comfortable with yourself. You don't, you feel hesitant. And who likes to be uncomfortable? We all like our little comfort zone, right?
That's so true. Yeah, that's so true. What can mom do, or what can senior management do to empower this behavior?
Yes. Active listening.
Okay.
So
It's a
this
skill?
is what it is, a skill. And we should approach it. It's not us versus them. So if this person had the guts to come and talk to me, it means that they have gone through a certain process in their head. They prepared. And this is why I mentioned in the beginning, you need to be prepared. Otherwise, it's just going to whack you over the head. So listen, keep an open mind. And then it's still our decision if we hear feedback, whether we take it or not.
Mhm.
What is important is that we give, let's say, the benefit of the doubt, that we give the other person the stage and the opportunity to say what's on their mind. We listen, we ask questions, we aim to understand, we ask for solutions. Okay, you don't think that the tool is working, what would you suggest? Implement a different tool, or how would you fix it? And then not get defensive, because at the end of the day, it's that person's opinion. We all have our filters. We all have our past experiences that influence the way that we talk, the way that we think, the way that we act. So we should really be an observer to that conversation, not get emotionally involved. Active listening is not, being empathetic. It's not get emotional. And as I said, at the end, as a senior leader, you know exactly what needs to be done. And the good thing is when we listen actively and we understand how the other person ticks, we can reiterate the goals on how we want to meet our strategy by communicating differently to that person and say, I listened, I understand you feel like this or like that, or you think this and that. How about if we did things in a different way? This is what my mom did to me. My mom never contradicted me.
What your mom taught you.
Oh, she taught me so many things. We don't have time today, but she really was a super active listener. And she always asked questions. And those questions in the end, trying to find answers to those questions made me realize, hold on, it's not that big of an issue that I'm telling her, or my problem is not that big. It's always listening and asking questions.
Sorana, we are coming to an end. It's always like time flies like crazy in these
when you're
episodes.
having fun.
When we're having fun, I'm taking 3 things away, or I want to summarize the 3 things. So one is a message to the C-level that I'm taking out is go Gemba, go to the shop and listen actively to what people have to say. I think this is number 1, clear. To the other side, go practice and give feedback.
Yeah.
No one will rip your head off. Be not emotional.
Yes.
Be candid, give solutions, and practice giving feedback. That's a skill, that's an art. Yeah, and the third thing, really that idea with building the muscle, it's a skill. It can be developed. It won't work the first time. It will work the 5th, 6th, 10th
Who
time.
knows? Yes.
Who knows? But it'll grow. It'll grow.
Yes, exactly.
Sorana.
Exactly.
Famous last words from Dr. Sorana Dorey. What's your last word?
Where focus goes, energy flows.
All right.
You focus on what you want to achieve. That's where the energy is going to go.
And that's true for feedback as well. Yeah. Nice. I like it.
Yes.
Thank you again for your time.
Markus, thank you
for sharing your story. We went from our moms to the managers to feedback. I think we fully closed the loop. I'm sure our listeners have a great episode to listen to, and wish you all the best. Thanks, Sorana.
Thank you so much, Markus. Take care. Bye-bye.